Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast, unraveling breast implant illness, sharing stories of women who went from victim to victor, interviewing doctors with their insight, and sharing hope and tools to reclaim health. Here's your hosts, Wendy Bunnell, Leslie Smoot, and Brandy Vega. And as always, we want to make sure you know that this podcast is not intended for the purpose of providing medical advice. All information, content, and material of this podcast is for informational purposes only. Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast. My name is Wendy Bunnell, and in studio today is one of my favorite humans in the world. It's Leslie Smoot. You really are. And Leslie, of course, is another one of the hosts on the Killer Boobies podcast, as I explained in the first episode. We're on episode number 2. This is huge. And we get to hear from Leslie about her story, her journey with unraveling her own breast implant illness story. So before I turn it over to Leslie, I want to just tell you about this beautiful, amazing woman. She and I have literally been friends since high school. And so I've known her a very, very long time, and I've watched her journey. We're both turning 50 this year, which is a huge milestone, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it, Leslie?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited about that.
I know. I mean, half a century. That's amazing. But Leslie started in the film industry at about 19 years old. So you've been in it for a very long time, 28 years, and you've been a set decorator for film and feature film and television. You also, one of the things that has really impacted my life a lot by being a friend with you, Leslie, is your knowledge in the nutrition side of things. I remember sitting in your kitchen and you sharing this beautiful story of how you learned that nutrition could change your life, could change how your body felt, could change how you showed up in this world. And so you're now a certified health coach as well. And which is so interesting, Leslie, because here you are. I remember you telling me, Wendy, food has changed my life. You'd just done a detox. And how did you feel at that time? This was 15 years ago. How did you feel at that time?
Yeah, that was way back in like 2004 when I got into the health and wellness. And until that point, I had literally just lived the standard American diet. I had never even considered what I put into my food. It was all a matter of what sounds good, what looks good, what's going to make me feel good. But not in a health way, just comforting way.
Yeah.
So I started learning about food and nutrition. I started thinking about what I ate, started being really conscious, and then I knew I wanted to do a detox. Well, I did a detox. It literally changed my life because it increased my energy. It increased my clarity of mind. It literally changed me on a cellular level. Mm-hmm. And it was so profound, I couldn't stop talking about it. I was kind of one of those annoying friends who just had to tell everybody, watch what you put in your shopping cart. You've got to change. You've got to do this. You've got to try this. And I became very passionate about it. And yeah, I loved it so much. First, it was just an inquiry. What did I want to learn for myself? And then I became a certified health coach because I wanted to learn why it was working. And so yeah, I became kind of a nerd on that whole thing, and I loved it.
You were a foodie. You weren't a nerd. You're just a foodie.
Yeah, it was exciting because I was able to cook a whole different way for my family and find creative ways. I was still raising my children. They were all small, finding ways to eat healthy and have the kids satisfied at the same time. It was this great challenge, and it was a lot of fun, and I was really happy.
Yeah. So 3 years later, 4 years later, you make the decision to have breast implants.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to just throw it out there because the listeners are probably going to say, well, okay, she's this nutrition guru, what led for you to make this decision to have breast implants? So what was that?
Well, to me, it was a pretty simple decision. I have, in my family, my father-in-law was a plastic surgeon in Southern California. He was known as one of the top doctors in that area. And my husband and I, we'd already had our children. So I'm at that point feeling the feeling like, oh, I could use something,
Yeah.
to make myself feel a little younger and more perky and all that. And he offered to give me a free surgery. He said, sure, I'd be happy to perform a surgery on you. And my husband and I jumped at the chance for the opportunity to have a surgery, a mommy makeover, if you will, at no charge. I think I had to pay the anesthesiologist, and literally my father-in-law, wonderful, kind, loving person, took care of everything else. To me, I saw it as a gift. I did not connect any dots of this could impact my health. And it's funny because it is a foreign object, but I didn't think, oh yeah, I'm putting a foreign object in, it's going to ruin me. Because I had asked him, I had remembered hearing in the news that it was a big issue, silicone or saline. Which one? What do you do? And I asked him that one question. Well, what do you recommend? Do you recommend silicone or saline? And he goes, well, the FDA has decided that silicone is safe. And guess what? It looks better. It's more natural. I think you'll be happier with the outcome. And I of course, I was like, absolutely. Then
you're the doctor, and you love him, and you respect him, obviously. Yes.
Well, I have so much love, and it makes me cry. I have so much love and respect for my father-in-law. And plastic surgeons aren't out to ruin people's lives. And certainly, he wasn't out to try to hurt me. There was no maliciousness at all. He didn't, in his world, he was only improving people through plastic surgery. And so, in fact, I remember, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be really honest here. I remember after the surgery was done, I would lay down in my bed and I would go, wow, I'm so perky. These don't even fall to the side. And I was like, these are gorgeous. And my husband felt the same way. And we enjoyed this so much.
Yes. I completely understand, Leslie. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I can fill up this, fill a swimsuit up. Oh my gosh. It was wonderful to go from an A cup to a nice full C.
Yeah. I would literally go, your dad is amazing. I appreciate what he did for me. I said that I had him for 11 years. I said it for 10 years straight. Yeah. I was really happy with it. So
I'm wondering, now, of course, you didn't put the puzzle together till later, but I'm wondering what kinds of things started to happen after. Yeah. Was it right away? Was it many years later? Kind of take us on that journey.
Okay. Before I tell you my little story of how I looked amazing, but I didn't know it. I was on a slow boat to hell. And I did not put those pieces together until 10 plus years after I had the implants. But I'm going to go through this, but you have to know as I tell the story, I didn't know, I was not connecting the dots until I got 10 years down the road. So I got them in 2008, got the implants. 2 years later, because I was sick, because I was going to doctors on a regular basis and didn't know what was going on, I had gone from the Western medicine to a naturopath because no one could figure it out. And in 2010, my naturopath said, this is so simple. You have autoimmune thyroid. I was so pleased. I had a diagnosis. I now knew what was the root of my problem. So we made a lot of adjustments in my health. Again, I was health conscious. I had studied a lot and read a lot. This was just something I knew. I remember saying this exactly. What a great thing to get diagnosed with something I can cure with food and not have to take medication. Okay?
Right.
I was a master of the food. Yeah.
Now, for those of you out there, this is also called Hashimoto's, right?
Hashimoto's.
Okay, because that's a term that I think a lot of people are hearing, and it's something you hear a lot with survivors of breast implant illness. You hear a lot of them were diagnosed with Hashimoto's or autoimmune of the thyroid, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I went ahead and changed my diet and upped my lifestyle and just tried to do everything. And I mean, when I say tried to do it, I was not laissez-faire about this at all. I was 100% in. I was going to have this kicked in 6 months and be back to myself. And that didn't happen. And so other things that I noticed, like even though I'd cleaned up my diet, if I ever stepped off that very narrow platform to just have ice cream for fun one night, I would be doubled over in pain. And the list was really long of things that would trigger a lot of gastrointestinal discomfort, or would trigger migraines, or would trigger an autoimmune flare, and I'd end up in bed. I got so paranoid that it was really no fun for my family or my husband to go out with me because I would be so careful with the people when I went out to eat to make sure they didn't mess me up. You know what I mean? I just had to sometimes take my own food with me.
Yeah.
And it was really debilitating. And I remember at some point I was planning a special vacation to go with my mother and my daughter. And before I left, I was crying in my husband's arms. And I said, I'm afraid to travel. I'm afraid that if I get sick, that my mother and my daughter are going to have to take care of me, and we're going to be halfway around the world. And so it went from, I thought I could master it and manage it, to it over the years just got so intense and so much worse. And at the same time, I'm working. And so when I work in the film industry, I might work for 2 months solid, and I just muscle up. I take extra vitamins. I was doing IV vitamin therapy. I was doing glutathione shots, taking high doses of vitamin B. I mean, I was doing everything I could to stay in a place where I could function and function well. And then as soon as I'd come off my job, bed, I would crash. I'd be so tired. It was like body breakdown. I'm like, okay, I'm home now. I can just get back to nurturing myself and recover from what I just put myself through, because stress does actually flare autoimmune problems. Anyway.
Absolutely. Leslie, too, I'm getting a little emotional here because you were talking about something that is so familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was my 30th wedding anniversary. We were supposed to go to Italy, and same thing. I finally just sat down with my husband and said, I don't know if it's a good idea to go to Italy. I want to. My heart wants to go.
Yeah.
My body won't. Right. And that's a huge thing to give up.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing this whole thing. And in fact, I'm going to tell the audience what you told me when you started to walk me down your road. You said, these were supposed to be the 10 best years of my life, my 40s. I'm away from the baby stage. I should be able to travel, enjoy. And a whole decade was taken from me.
Yeah. And I felt most heartbroken that I couldn't be there in full capacity for my children. Mm-hmm. And I remember writing in my journal, just being so heartbroken. And I said, if I weren't sick, would I be a better mom? Because it was really hard to do it all. It was kind of like you have a plate and you can only handle so much on your plate and everything else falls off. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the kids just had to be really understanding with me. It's not a good day for mom. And they would tease me a lot, about my diet, and they would tease me about, because I would constantly be researching. I'm like, I got to find this out. I got to figure this out. What's going on with me? And they would just say, Mom, you're kind of a hypochondriac. Like, because I kept searching. I was searching and searching and searching, saying, this does not make sense. Yeah. If I take care of my body is supposed to take care of me. And I was doing my part, but my body, I didn't know it. My body was at war on the inside. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, everything I tried to do for my body sometimes made it worse. I remember doing a detox because I said to myself, gosh, just do a detox. You know all about that. You'll feel better. Well, I was so sick trying to do the detox. I was literally dry heaving at the toilet.
Mm.
And then I was on the floor because I was out of all strength. And then I literally like dragged myself outside, and I just had to sit in the sun for a minute, actually stay there for a while in a chair, because I was like, please tell me what is going on. What is going on? But I couldn't detox. Now I know why I couldn't. And just so people understand, when you are full of toxic heavy metals, and these implants are somewhat permeable. So when your body heats up, like for example, in a sauna, I was trying to do sauna therapy, hot, if you go in a hot tub, if you're going in the steam room, you're heating up that implant. It's now permeable. Those toxins are coming out, and you're actually making yourself sick. Okay, so I didn't know that.
Right.
I went into a lot of saunas. And another thing is when you're detoxing, your body is doing its best to detox that liver, but the liver was totally absorbed with toxins.
Yeah.
And it would flood my whole lymphatic system and my blood, and then I would just tank. I would just go downhill. So that was what was happening. I understand it now. At the time, I was just bewildered. I was beside myself. I felt so bad that a little over a year ago, I wrote my kids a letter and said, if I die young for some reason, I need to tell you how much I love you, how much I've loved being your mom. And I wouldn't admit to my husband or my kids how crappy I felt, because no one wants to be married to a sick person. No one wants to be married to somebody that doesn't feel well. I held this in with a shield and a lock to not tell them how bad, but I wrote letters to them saying how much I love them, because I was like, probably won't last a decade longer than this, and I want my kids to know how much I love them. So that's where it got.
You're to the point where you're thinking, the only other thing that could possibly happen is maybe I'm dying. You know, maybe this is the end. So we're now a decade into this. How did you start to put the pieces together? How did you start to get the download that maybe your breast implants were the culprit in some of the things that were happening to you?
Yeah, I mean, from a health person's perspective, okay, I knew there had to be a root cause, and it had to be substantial, because every time I went and got my blood labs, I was one of those people where my blood labs, I looked like I was an 80-year-old woman. First of all, some of the symptoms I experienced were the digestive issues and the chronic migraines, and those were probably, and the skin rash. I had skin rashes for years that I couldn't clear up. And then I got the vertigo. So a lot of that is physical, and you can see it, and you know what it is. But then I would do my blood labs. Now my blood labs, well, I had all kinds of liver dysfunction. I had inflammation markers that were sky high. I had malabsorption problems. My iron was so low that the guy looks at me and goes, I literally don't know how you got yourself here. I don't see people with iron this low and functioning. And I was like, well, B12, glutathione injections. I mean, I had my arsenal, and I was trying with all my heart to make that work for me, but it didn't. So my blood labs looked really, really bad. And I kept saying, there's got to be something. There's got to be something we haven't looked at. I, of course, never looked at breast implants, because it's like they're now me, a part of me. And it no longer was that foreign object. It was just part of me. It was me.
Right. So and it didn't hurt, right? That was one area that I don't know about you, but for me, that was one area that didn't actually hurt.
Okay, so here's a funny thing. I had breast itch.
Oh.
So I had an itch, and it was chronic, and it was annoying. So I sat down with one of my naturopath doctors who I work with, because I've got a team, because that's what I needed just to keep going and doing it well. And she put me on a biofeedback machine, and I asked her to specifically check my breasts, because I said, I've got this itch. It's not going away. It's not showing up like hives. It's on the inside. It's inside my breast. What's going on? And she said, Leslie, you really show that you're toxic with silicone. Do you know where that's coming from? And I was like, oh my gosh, my implants? Yeah. I mean, I have implants. And she goes, oh, you do? Okay. You know, because people don't
No.
stare at you and say, oh, this one has implants, you know? So she said, she goes, well, a lot of people with implants have heavy metals. I'm going to check your heavy metals. She's like, yeah, you have really bad heavy metals. So she went through a bunch of Q&A with me on this machine. And she indicated that, she said, I can't tell you if you're having a leak, but it's getting into your body. It's toxifying your body. Anyway, she wasn't over the top. She was very subtle about the whole thing, but I couldn't let it go. We talked about a lot of things too. We just went from that topic on to the next. It was an hour session, and I couldn't get that out of my brain. It was like something that just kept echoing in my mind, the implants, the implants, the implants. And I was like, why am I thinking this? So anyway, then the next thing, you know, because when you're really seeking, other things start coming in. My stepmom, she saw me at a family party, and I had seen her months before, and she was super sick. There was no doubt she was sick. She was asking me questions. How can I get better? And I was like, I don't know. It sounds like you've tried everything. And then I'm like, so have I. Sometimes people just don't heal. You know, I was kind of like resigned to that. And so when I ran into her, she goes, guess what? I took out my implants and I'm feeling so much better. And she goes, Leslie, you've got to look into it, because she goes, I can't stop reading the stories. And she went on and on. She had my ear for about 3 hours. We were helping my sister move. And I kept thinking to myself, Wendy, oh, I mean, she kind of sounds like a hypochondriac. Like, there's no way the implants could affect 50 different things. It didn't fit still in my brain of health coach and body wellness person. Like, it did not fit in there. And I was like, okay, I will investigate. She said, promise me you'll go to this website. And she said, it's called Healing Breast Implant Illness by Nicole. And she goes,
thank you, Nicole Deruta. Thank you, Nicole Deruta. You've saved so many lives from your work. Oh my goodness.
So I did. I was like, okay, I'll go home. I'll look it up and I'll see. I really didn't think that was going to be my answer. But because I had two people that mentioned it to me, one was my health practitioner and the other was somebody close to me who had already gone through the surgery and experienced positive results. And, you know, she said, yeah, it's going to help your digestion, Leslie, I promise. And I thought, oh, that is too good to be true. I can't even hope. And I remember before I even got to the plastic surgeon's office, I still had so much doubt that this was going to make me better that I said, you know what? If you could just stop this chronic breast itch that I have, I will be so happy. So just take them out. Maybe the itch will go away and I'll be fine, because it's kind of annoying and nobody wants to see a woman scratching her chest, you know? So
that was it. That was your highest hope.
That was my highest hope. I did not dare hope that I would actually get rid of the migraines or get rid of the vertigo or get rid of any of these problems. So you know, once I found out about BII, I'll just tell you, the timeline was from May to October. And in that time, I researched it heavily. I took all that energy that I did on food and nutrition and switched it into what is breast implant illness. Mm-hmm. And I saw 4 different doctors because I wanted to make sure I made a good choice. I want to make sure the explant was done properly because I had learned about that on Nicole's website. And in October, I walked in and I was ready. I had my surgery. I had my implants removed. And hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So interesting though, you found something from your implant surgery after
I
you
did.
had your explants. And let's see what it
Uh-huh.
says, shall we?
Okay. Well, I found my card. This is kind of funny. I just have to point this out. 2 things were given to me after the implants went in. Okay. I'm not dishing on my father-in-law. I think this is how all doctors do it. Okay.
Right.
Oh, hi. You just got implants put in. Here's the information about it in case you want to read about all the side effects you could possibly get with implants. And don't lose the card because mentor wants to monitor you and make sure you don't get real sick. Oh,
Isn't
okay.
that interesting?
Okay. So I found this book. I didn't even read it after she handed it to me.
Who does?
I frankly thought I had thrown it away, but I found it after my implant removal. So I couldn't wait to open it up and actually read the thing and see what it says. First thing it says, breast implants are not lifetime devices. Is that a news flash?
That's news flash. How many of us just assumed that we would just keep them?
Right. That we would die with them, that we would be sexy mamas until we were 89.
Right. 89.
Okay. And then when I turn to the chapter that says potential breast implant complications, it really truly does say, and I'm just going to read a small part. You can have connective tissue diseases, including lupus, scleroderma, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic pain in the muscles and soft tissues. And then it also talks about, in another paragraph, various rheumatological signs and symptoms such as fatigue. Oh yeah, I had big time fatigue, exhaustion. They say those differently. Isn't that interesting? Joint pain, swelling, muscle pain, cramping, tingling, numbness, weakness, and skin rashes. I think I told you I had skin rashes for years. And I yelled at my husband. I was like, it's been in here from the very beginning. And I never knew. But so what that told me, Mentor has studied this.
Yes, absolutely.
Breast implant is not this strange phenomenon that's happening because there's a Facebook page and then everybody thinks they all have the same issue. They have known about it because other women who experienced it from the very beginning, and they study these things, and they have women who have had these problems. I mean, there's more problems. I just read to you the things that were relevant to me. And
yet, you go to a plastic surgeon, right?
What?
And you go to most plastic surgeons out there. I need to back up. You go to some plastic surgeons out there, because that was an unfair statement, what I just said. And they will scratch their heads and say, I don't know there's no research, there's no evidence that breast implant illness really even exists. And so we just feel like it's a bunch of women getting together, creating this movement out of a frenzy. And everybody's just rushing to get them out. When in fact, the literature says right up front,
it has been on their radar. They are not naive to it. It has been on their radar. But I think what really lets people know if this is a frenzy or not is that you are getting better. I am getting better.
Yes, I want to hear. How are we changing? And how long ago was it?
I had it done in October. It's now January. So it's been 3 months. Okay. And already in 3 months, I don't have debilitating migraines. Okay. Anyone that's had a migraine knows it can shut you down. And okay, I'm not having autoimmune flares where I have to stay in bed, turn out the lights, shut the door, have everybody leave me alone because I'm in an autoimmune flare. My digestive issues have improved. They have not gone away. Okay. I was chronically constipated. First thing I noticed after I came out of the doctor's office, I have regular bowel movements. I didn't know that was going to be so exciting.
You want to hear something funny, Leslie? You know you had autoimmune issues when you cheer in the bathroom. Like literally, my husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just had the most beautiful bowel movement. And he's like, okay, all right.
I know, but it's significant because from a health coach perspective, if you aren't eliminating, those toxins are circulating through your body. And so being constipated is actually detrimental to your health.
Yes.
You have to have bowel movements. And I used to have to do crazy things just to make myself have bowel movements. Now I just get to go. I just get to have that urge and go. And it's so happy. I actually have a long list of things that I've improved, but I think that the fact that I don't have rashes and migraines and the food intolerance is getting better, I think those are the most important. I will be very eager when I do my next round of blood labs to see if the malabsorption problems and inflammation markers have gone away. I will be really thrilled if my iron is at a healthy level. But I can tell you, so much has changed because I feel different. My energy level is different. I am able to get a lot more done, and I have great clarity in mind. And my kids are laughing because it used to be that by 10 o'clock I was out. You could put a bet on it. If it was 10 o'clock and someone said, "Where's Leslie?" I was in bed every time. And I stay up late with my kids. I was up till midnight last night, and I was just, what?
Wow, that's awesome.
Because I feel good. And
Yeah.
I still get up early this morning. Like, my body isn't suffering. And
Oh,
that tells me this is not a frenzy
no.
of a bunch of people getting all excited over the idea of removing their implants. Now, I think I have one thing to show you, and then you can put up my before and after pictures.
Yes, I want to. Okay, and you said you were going to surprise me with this, so let's see.
This is what I got after I got out of surgery.
And it's in a biohazard bag.
Okay, take note. Why is it in a biohazard bag?
That's interesting, isn't it?
If it comes in a biohazard bag or is given to you later in a biohazard bag, do you think we should be putting this inside of us? I don't know. I might be getting a little sarcastic, but I do want to say that when I look closely at the two implants, that this one here, and I don't think you'll be able to see it here on camera, but what I see in here is it's very clouded. There's a lot of specks of white particles floating through it, whereas this one doesn't have the white particles floating through it. This one does, and that's telling me something was happening there. I know that they are permeable, even if they are intact because of the research I've done, and don't have cuts or tears or anything in them. They still are permeable. Small detail women needed to know. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, so now here's the question. What do you think about the after? You loved the way that you looked before.
Right.
So we're going to put that up here. Here we go. Can you see that picture?
Yep, I did. I loved my breasts. I thought they were pretty, but I am so happy with my breasts now. You know, as a health coach, I'm outside, I'm on the trails, I exercise. It's so much easier for me to wear a tight jog bra and go out, and I'm more comfortable. I can breathe better. And the best thing is I feel better overall. Like I sat in the hot tub for an hour plus last week. I couldn't do it for more than 15 minutes in my life before. So I'm so happy. I actually like my body better with the littles than when I was big and chesty. So I just feel better all around. Like you couldn't pay me anything to put something like that back in my body.
No, I look at myself in the mirror sometimes and I go, oh, you little warrior princesses. I love you so much. You fought this war that I didn't even know was existing. And I think they're beautiful. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And I'm not sure why I didn't think that they were beautiful before.
Exactly.
But I think that that's the journey, and one of the blessings of this challenge that both you and I have gone through is that I'm in a space where I'm starting to look at my body differently, starting to honor it, starting to respect it, and not abuse it, not put something into it. I mean, I used to do other things as well. And now I'm really starting to think, is that a smart idea to inject something in my face? You know? So those are the things
Someday we'll talk about the lip stuff.
Yeah.
Lip injections.
Exactly. We'll talk about that later. Right now, we're just going to do question time on this. But is it possible for women to start to just love themselves no matter what? That's a question I would love to present to every woman who is hearing this.
Yeah.
Is it possible for you get to a place where you honor and love your body just the way it is with no improvements? And how would that make you feel? And how would that make you show up in this world?
Exactly. Powerful. And just like when I got into health and wellness and I couldn't stop talking about it, now my girls, I have 2 daughters. I talk with them all the time about loving their body, loving themselves the way they are, being happy with their shape and not needing to be sexy. I think there's such our culture just wants so much sex appeal, and as women we want to be attractive, but can you do it with, you don't need to alter your body. You know what I'm saying? And you can still be attractive to the person that you love. And now I just have to tell a lot of people, practically everyone I run into, hey, have you heard of breast implant illness?
I have people calling me on a day-to-day basis, and every time I have a lunch, it comes up, and they have someone in their life that's struggling with mystery illnesses and symptoms, and I'm getting those phone calls. And so I think just the small things that we can do to start helping women who are suffering needlessly to understand this, and that is really the intention, one of the main intentions of this podcast. So if you've heard this and you've heard Leslie's story, you've heard my story now, and you are resonating, finding value in it, my encouragement is to share this with every person you know that is struggling with their health, that you know that has breast implants. Share it, subscribe, review it. Let's help this momentum just continue to flourish out there.
Yeah.
We don't want one more woman suffering one more day.
Right. Absolutely. Go to that, go to Breast Implant Illness Healing by Nicole on her Facebook, join the group, donate to her nonprofit because it costs her money to keep that alive and well, and do what you can to help get involved so that more women can learn about this. Yeah.
I agree. Leslie, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing your story, being vulnerable, being authentic, laying it all out on the line, and having just that perspective of that research and having the data to back it up. And that's what you're going to find when Leslie hosts this podcast, is she's going to be really diving into the research, diving into why it happens, how it happens, talking to professionals, doctors, and researchers and other people out there about why this is happening. And we'll most likely be also having many podcasts about, once you get them out, how do you heal? How do you heal your body? How do you get back to homeostasis, which is a whole nother set of topics. But right now, this is sharing your story so that we can spread the word in the vocal public service announcement. So thank you, Leslie, for your time.
Thanks, Wendy.
Can't wait to hear from you in the future, and you have an amazing day. And those of you that are listening, have an amazing day. Thank you for listening and sharing this time with us.
Thank you for listening. Spread the word by subscribing, liking, and sharing the Killer Boobies podcast today. You could be the person who helps someone reverse their pain and suffering and reclaim their health today.